All right, now let's make this first name field required. So in HTML5, we can use this required attribute on an input field, and Angular uses this to apply this kind of validation on this input field. So just next to this input field, I want to add a div. This is where we'll display the validation error. So first name is required. Now to make this pretty, we can apply two bootstrap classes. One is alert and the other is alert-danger, which puts this in a red box. Now we don't want to display this at all times. We want to display this only if the input field is not valid. So we use the ngIf directive that you have seen before. Now how do we know if the field is valid or not? Well, back here in the console, you saw this ngModel directive, right? And we looked at this control property. This control has a property called valid. From here, we can tell if an input field is valid or not. But there is a simpler way. So let's collapse this property. If you look at the properties of this ngModel directive, we have all those properties you saw earlier as part of this class as well. So here we have valid, which is a computed property. So when we use this property, internally, the ngModel directive delegates to the underlying form control object. So here, as the value of the ngIf directive, we can reference our directive. So earlier we created this template variable, first name. We can type first name dot valid. Now we apply the not operator here. So we'll render this div only if the first name is not valid. Let's test the result. So back in the browser, okay, you can see the error is initially displayed here, which is a little bit too confronting for the user because they haven't done anything wrong yet. So I will show you how to fix this problem in a second. Let's type something here. Look, as soon as I type one character, the error is gone. And when I delete this, the error is back. So the validation is working. Now let me show you how to show this error only if the user puts focus in this input field and moves away without entering a value. So back here, I'm going to change this condition. I'm going to add first name dot touched and first name not valid. With this, I'm telling Angular to render this div if this input field has been touched, which means it received focus, but the user left this input field without entering a valid value. So let's try it again, back in the browser. So look, initially the error is not here. Now I'll put the focus. If I press tab, I get this error. So this is how we add the validation errors. Next to each input field, we add a div with the validation error and render it only if that input field has been touched and is not valid. In the next lecture, I'm going to show you different kinds of validation errors.